Hello, Husker fans. Welcome to Gen Red Pod Studios, live right here on StreamYard. God damn, that was cheesy, but this should be a fun episode where we preview the Illinois game. Stick around. Okay, in my defense, Derrick, I did not know for sure that you were going to be here tonight, so I didn't include your name on that graphic. I'll buy you a case. Sound good? it'll be PBR, fucker, but it'll be a case. Welcome, folks, to the Kettle Corn of Husker Fan Podcasts, where we try to be sweet, but sometimes we get a bit salty, and there are some salty dudes hanging out with me tonight. One of them is not Scott, unfortunately. He's sick. Also, shout out to Brian from Husker Army Podcast. He is sick tonight as well. So any thoughts and good vibes and prayers you might want to send both of those guys' ways would be really, really cool, because we were going to do a collaboration today and also tonight, but that just didn't work out because of illness. So thank God for Derrick, Justin from the Husker Podcast, and Andrew from Big Red and More, who have joined us tonight. So beware. Andrew and company on Big Red and More have used the F word and turned it into an art form. So trust me, you will get to experience a lot of art tonight. But before we get into talking about the Illinois game, first and foremost, Andrew, when did you guys start your Big Red and More podcast, and how long has that been going on? And have you actually ever had the benefit of covering a season worth talking about?
That'd be a big fat no. So we are in our fourth season now. First three was me and Jaden, and then this year we've brought on Sean, which I think has been pretty beneficial. The first 3 years, Jaden and I were like mostly pure analytical, and it get a little dry. So Sean's definitely brought some color commentary to the podcast, to say the least. But no, we have not. This has probably been our best season covering, honestly. Last year, what do you have? How many times can you talk about a 1-score loss? I mean, Jesus. So
there's not enough alcohol in the world. My liver took a beating. So
it was like our podcast was like a Scott Frost press conference. It was just repeating the same shit every week.
Unfortunately, this year don't really feel much different yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yes and no. At least we got to talk about a firing. Every week we're talking about speculating on coaches. I mean, it's a little something different, but it is kind of getting repetitive with the whole coaching thing so far.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt. It's like, man, he fired him so early. So now you've got 2.5 months that we get to sit around and talk about coaches. And that kind of sucks. But at the same time, we're all watching a whole bunch of coaches down there in the Big 12, seeing what they're doing. And everybody suddenly has an opinion. Oh, fuck Leipold. He's not good enough. He just lost to Baylor or whatever,
Campbell,
all those guys. And, and I'm just sitting over here going, Bill O'Brien. But, we'll get into that when we do our collaboration, hopefully next Sunday. So stay tuned for that, folks. Wow, look at that, guys. We've got some people watching. I'm pretty sure the NFL game tonight must suck.
That's Dolphins Steelers.
It sucks, apparently. No doubt about it. Because Tua's out, isn't he? Or is he?
No, he's back.
Is he back?
He's back.
Okay. Yep. Well, maybe it won't suck so bad then. Anyway, Justin, Derrick, what have you guys been up to lately since the last time we hung out? Anything crazy? Anything new? Have you guys hung out? Have you guys played a lot of golf? What's going on?
Played a lot of golf. I got back to Nebraska for the Indiana game. Watched with the cousins and family, and that was always a lot of fun. A lot of beer, a lot of golf, a lot of fun.
Very cool. Derrick, anything crazy going on with you besides meeting up with a fellow podcaster at a random showing of Day by Day documentary in Hastings one day?
Not a whole lot, Ken.
That was a memorable evening, to say the least.
Pretty much same shit, different day, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So, I guess we can't avoid the inevitable, which is facing Chase Brown and Illinois on Saturday. So let's go ahead and move into previewing the Illinois game. I'm going to throw some stats here up on the screen. This is the cumulative stats over the season for Illinois and Nebraska, which when you look at the offense between the two teams, there's, reason for hope until you look down at that right corner of those stats and you go, yeah, we're screwed, right? We're only scoring 3.7 more points than they are, which shocks me. How the hell are they only averaging 26 points a game when they've got the leading rusher in the nation? Right. But they are. So
you want to get a little crazier in that, Ken. The thing is, he is the leading rusher, but he's only got 4 touchdowns on a year.
Yeah. That blows my mind too. What do they do? Pull him out inside the 20 and put somebody else in it?
He has 2 receiving
position, right?
He has 2 receiving touchdowns too.
But it's got to be their starting field position, right? I mean, if you're constantly starting back at like the 20, I mean, shit, you get to, by the time you're rushing the whole game, getting to the other side, still rack up a lot of yards without getting points.
Yeah.
I mean, Tommy DeVito has as many rushing touchdowns as he has. So,
wow, that's crazy, and he's the leading rusher. That's just nuts. Rushing offense is sort of comparable. They average 199 a game. We average 150, almost 155. Although you can say that those stats were pretty padded by like Georgia Southern. So I think we ran for 257 that night. We ran for probably almost 200 against North Dakota. And we didn't do a whole lot against Northwestern. We barely eked out over 100 yards against Indiana. So I expect this number, the rushing offense number, to go down for Nebraska on average over the next 5 games. No doubt. I think I'd be surprised if we end up averaging 120, 125 yards a game by the end of the year. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we racked up all of our yards rushing, against bad defenses. Now that we're playing good defenses, and you've kind of seen what's happened over the last couple of weeks. So doing a poor offensive line and better defenses, it's not a good recipe for success there for running the ball.
Is it strictly the defense we're facing, or are we on the full Whipple effect here?
Well, here's the thing, though, Derek. Did you know that over the games that Frost has been gone, we've averaged the same number of carries per game that we averaged when Frost was here?
But the runs are different.
37.
You don't see
the runs suck.
Anymore. You don't get outside anymore. Everything's up the middle.
Yep. You're not being creative, as Frost said, which everybody ripped his ass for it, but he was right. You got to tell your quarterback, dude, you've got to at least get us 4 or 5 once every other series. You just do. You just have to run it 7 to 10 times a game if we're going to hope with this offensive line to do anything in the running game. Yeah. Right.
I guess if you're going to get smacked, you might as well get smacked gaining some yards instead of losing them.
You might as well dish out the punishment instead of standing there getting bent in half every other time you drop back to throw.
Well, he can slide. I mean, he can run away and slide. He doesn't have to take the hit.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Little hook slide into third.
Yeah.
So passing offense, they kind of suck compared to us. We're at 200 and almost 200, just 269 and a half yards a game. They're at 216, almost 217 a game, which is 11th in the Big Ten, 94th in the country. I forgot to mention the rankings. Sorry, vodka. 6th in the Big Ten in passing offense for Nebraska and 38th in the country. So maybe there's a little hope there that Trey Palmer can get loose, can get something accomplished, except for the fact that their passing defense is ranked pretty damn high in both the Big Ten and the NCAA. So we'll see. Your guys' thoughts on the passing offense between these two teams?
I think eventually Trey's going to start to get blanketed, right? So we're going to start looking at who else is going to start getting the ball, because these better defenses, better coordinators, obviously they're going to try to take Trey out of the game. So
sure,
I think it's going to be a fun little mix. I know that Casey trusts Washington the most, but Oliver Martin's coming on pretty good. He's shown that he can go up and get that 50-50 ball this year where he necessarily wasn't in the past. Mm-hmm. And then, Alante Brown, Alante's got wheels too. I would maybe look for Alante to maybe start taking the top off when you got that safety coming over the top and doubling up on Trey.
Okay.
I'm kind of interested to see where Tommy Hill fits into this picture.
True.
You're hearing a lot about him and his transition over the offense, and supposedly he's another deep threat. So if they're cheating to get Trey Palmer, take him out of the game, maybe that opens it up for Tommy Hill to be that guy. That's something that I'll be watching, because I cannot imagine that Nebraska is going to have any success running the ball against the defense we're about to play. It'll be another just bombs away type of game for the Huskers.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't the scouting profile on Tommy Hill coming out of high school was everyone recruited him to be a DB because his route tree sucked. Mm-hmm. And so pretty much he's just going to be a fly route guy only. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's why everyone recruited him to be a DB.
I hadn't heard that, but it makes sense. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the best team that Illinois has faced passing is Indiana, and Indiana is the one that scored the most on them too.
No, there's something to be said for that. Good night. I got lost here. Sorry, guys. So, total offense, Nebraska averages about 8 yards a game more than Illinois. So, pretty dead even. But then we transition to defense. Nebraska gives up 31.3 points per game, which is 13th in the Big Ten. I'm surprised it's not 14th. And 106th in the country, whereas Illinois ranks first in the Big Ten and first in the NCAA at 8.9 points per game. Now, does that indicate that they've really played some crappy offenses? Iowa. Or is Illinois, Virginia, is Illinois really that good on defense and they just haven't been tested yet? I don't know the answer to that question.
I think both can be true, right?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think you have to say absolutely both are true. Because in any situation, I don't care how you want to look at it. When you hold Wisconsin to 2 yards rushing, like you're playing good.
Braylon Allen, yeah.
I mean,
that's right. Yeah, they did.
You're playing good defense. I mean, period. It is what it is. Are they the best defense in the country? Probably not. They haven't been tested to that point. But to hold teams to as low as you have, I mean, there's something to be said about it. I mean, the most points you've given up is 20, and you've only given up double-digit points 3 times out of your 7 games. And you only gave up 14 to Minnesota and 10 to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, no matter quote-unquote how good they are, they're still Power 5 teams, right? Especially Big Ten teams. So I think to Derek's point, when you hold not only Braylon Allen, but Wisconsin, a school that is known and their whole identity is to run the ball, to be able to shove it in their face like that is saying a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So it's a tall task for the Huskers on Saturday for sure. Nebraska is 14th in the Big Ten, and my guess is they are pretty close. Yeah, they're way down there at 115th in the country at rushing defense, giving up 190.43 yards a game. Meanwhile, in Illinois is 77.86 yards per game, which is first in the Big Ten and second in the NCAA. Guys, I'm really losing some hope for Saturday. Somebody needs to give me some hope. Who's going to do that? Any of you? Or do
Don't
we just
come to me because I can't give
it. No, look, this is the scariest stat on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do 2 things. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run it well. We're not going to stop it well, or you assume, because we haven't so far. And by doing that, they're going to control the clock. They're going to keep our offense off the field. I mean, it's a recipe for success for Illinois.
Yeah, so I don't know. This paints maybe an uglier picture here, but Illinois, as your slide says, they rank 26th in the nation in rushing. But this will be the best Huskers attack or the rushing attack that the Huskers have faced since Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they ranked 14th. Well, they ranked 14th in the nation with 223 yards per game. But Nebraska's only faced that is the only top 50 team that Nebraska's faced in rushing. I mean, we haven't faced great rushing teams, and they're running at ease on us. Purdue is the great example of what we saw week and a half
Maccabee,
yeah, a walk-on, just
crazy legs.
Yeah.
And injuries didn't help in that game, but I mean, there's so many other games that you can point to that you're just going, what's your excuse for that one?
Yeah, I mean, It's not like tackling hasn't been an issue all year, right? Or for a couple of years for that matter. But
sure.
So not only are we all scared and about this rushing, stopping their run or whatever and going up against good defense, isn't that kind of the story of the rest of the season, not just the next game?
Oh, it is.
I mean, every team we're going against has a great running back.
Except Iowa. Iowa's the only one without a good running back.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa's the one game that doesn't hardly scare you anymore, right? And Wisconsin shouldn't, but then you got Braylon Allen coming at you, who, as a 17-year-old last year, lit you up.
Yeah,
when we had a better defense.
Wisconsin will continue to scare me. I don't care what their record is; they will continue to scare me until Nebraska proves that you can beat them.
Yeah,
which is something we haven't done since we've been in the Big Ten, but once.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we always say, especially coming in this year, it's like, okay, there's no more gimme games, right? Like Illinois used to be a gimme game. Hell, Minnesota should have been a gimme game. Purdue, all those teams the last 4 or 5 years, and we don't have that luxury anymore. Nothing's a gimme game.
Nebraska's everybody's gimme game now.
Yeah. Well, then especially with Illinois coming on the way that they are, but I can't remember who the heck said it in our group chat I got on Twitter, but somebody said, I like our chances this game. Bielema seems too hard-headed to pay attention to the curse. So, the curse about whoever beats Nebraska goes on to lose the rest of the season or gets a coach fired or whatever.
Yeah.
It's true. Purdue just got their asses kicked and beat Nebraska. I mean, everybody's done it.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma's turned to a garbage team.
Or if Nebraska beats you, then you fire a coach.
So. Well, who wouldn't?
That's
right?
True.
You can't lose to these ragtag boys. Kent, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Sorry. What level of hell are we living in right now? To the fact that we had a historic season last year where we lost 9 games by less than 10 points. And now we're in 2022. We fire our coach after 3 games, and everybody that plays us goes out and absolutely shits the bed in their next game. What level of hell are we living in right now? Why is this even remotely possible?
I would call it about the 7th level of hell that lies between the asshole on balls of Satan. The tank, I think is what they call it. That's about
it's a hairy taint too.
Thank you. Thanks. There's a visual that I'm going to have to drink a lot more vodka to get rid of.
Peppers.
Yeah.
Hairy and sweaty.
7th concentric circle of whatever in Dante's Inferno. So that's where we are. And it's red, of course, there. So that just seems to make sense. Let's move on to what I really don't want to talk about, which is passing defense. They're pretty good. Number 1 in the Big Ten and number 2 in the NCAA at 143.3 yards per game. If there's a stat that really scares me right here, it's this one. Thank God they're not all that good at throwing the ball. Otherwise, I'd be scared for our defense. But God knows Chase Brown's going to go off for probably 150 or more.
I mean, I don't know. They're effective throwing the ball. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're terrible. I mean, he's passing 70%. He's thrown 1,400 yards, 10-2 ratio. I mean, Tommy DeVito, he's not a bad quarterback.
He's a good game manager, and he's able to do what needs to be done when the ball needs to be thrown, right?
And they got 3 decent targets to throw between Isaiah Williams, Pat Bryant, and Brian Hightower. Those 3 guys, they all have over 300 yards receiving this year.
Yeah.
So do you foresee us going back to the 4-3 this game, right? So I mean, like, it's not like we're going up against Aiden O'Connell, who's at worst a career backup in the NFL, right? Probably getting drafted day 3, where you kind of got to drop everybody back. We obviously didn't get any pressure whatsoever on him. So do you see us going back to the 4-3 for this game? But I mean, even at the 4-3, we still don't get shit for pressure. Like, are we going to be running some stunts? I mean, what are we going to do to get back there?
I think a lot of it has to do is the injury front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do we have? Who are we going to have available for the game? You know, everybody anticipates Luke Reimer will play. Willie, we don't know. We didn't hear the coaches talk last week. Sounds like Nick Henrich, he won't be playing this game, probably maybe not the rest of the season. We don't know how the secondary looks. I mean, there's a lot of question marks that we really don't know.
Andrew, was it your podcast that I heard, your recent one, where you guys talked about that all these guys that are on our defensive line that were really good in high school, the only thing they really had was a bull rush?
That was our offensive line, actually. So that was me talking about Corcoran and Ben Hart.
Okay.
As far as
my bad, sorry about that.
No, I mean, it's pretty much the same though, honestly, right? But then on the defensive line, though, the thing that really sucks is you got O'Shawn coming in, you got Devin Drew, you got Stephon Wynn, and then you got Garrett Nelson. So it's like, on paper, this team or that line should be getting to the quarterback no problem. Like, you got the pretty much all O'Shawn. Everyone had him at worst a day 2 pick in an NFL draft before this year. Stephon Wynn had real snaps at Alabama, and I'm sorry, but if Bama recruits you, you should be pretty fucking good. And then Drew is a senior from Texas Tech, and I'm not saying Texas Tech's world beaters by any means, but you're a senior. You got experience. It's been really disappointing. Now O'Shawn gets quiet, like he has quiet games that matter. Like getting 10 tackles a game and things like that. It's just he's not getting the sacks that we all like to see, right? He's not getting the glamour plays that we want. So yeah, it's just really kind of disappointing there. And then not to go off on a tangent, but Hunter Anthony, talk about another transfer coming in. That was an older transfer, came in and didn't do shit. But that's another conversation. The offensive line's another topic.
He came in for the NIL deal. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, well, pull that and a scholarship.
Here's a better idea. Instead of doing that, pull his coach's salary.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
No, I was just talking to Justin this morning about Oregon has allowed 1 sack so far this year. With their offensive line coach. I can't remember what his offensive line coach's name, but this is his first year there. And they've only allowed 1 sack all year. And last year they gave up 25 sacks, I believe it was 24 or 25. So you're halfway through a season, only allowed 1 sack. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a talent overhaul as much as it needs to be a coaching overhaul. Especially at Nebraska, because you have 4 stars on this line that should be able to perform that are not.
So Jaden.
If it's one guy, if it's one guy, I could see, okay, we got a bust. But when you got 3-4 guys that are 4-star guys not performing, it's got to come down to coaching at some point, right?
Yeah. So Jaden and I have had this conversation, and Sean have had the conversation at length before. So it's like, these guys are so good. How can they still be this bad with a new coach, right? And I like to think of it as, well, they were broken. Like, they got here and they broke them. Austin broke them. And they just haven't been able to been fixed yet, right? So it's a little different to like come in and just stay the same and never get better. But I feel like they came in and literally like they broke them. Like, it's like when you hire somebody new, right? You prefer to hire the person with no experience so you can train them your way. Whereas if you hire somebody that has a bunch of experience, they have been taught a certain way, and if it's not the same as yours, they're gonna generally stay the way that they are rather than adapt to the way that you want them to be and you're trying to teach them to be. And I kind of feel like that probably happened at Nebraska, where it's like, okay, you guys do this, but we want to break you and remold you to come up this way. The problem is they broke them and never remolded them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, bring me a molder then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw you in my oven. I got you. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty scary. So, I mean, there was a lot of people who were, I'd say at best 50-50 on Raiola when he got hired. I was down, even though he hadn't ever been an official line coach, only been an assistant. I was like, okay, but he still knows what he's doing. Like he played for Wisconsin. Like I was high on him, and I don't know. I don't know if it's still necessarily his fault. I just kind of feel like these guys are broken. I don't know. Until I start seeing like Henry, but Henry Lutovsky doesn't look that great either. Like it's kind of going to depend on who these new guys are now that have never had Greg Austin coach them, I guess.
I don't know that you can blame him, but he was a Band-Aid fix at best to begin with.
Sure. And our biggest question mark of what we needed, right? Like it was like absolutely the most important hire we needed to have at the time.
Hey, I wanted to give the guy a chance, but I didn't expect him to be world beaters in year one under him. But I expect to see maybe some improvement in technique, and you're not seeing.
You haven't seen anything. I mean, they look even more lost in the system. It's like they got to a point where there's some of those guys that just look completely lost on every play. I'm not going to single anyone out. They know who they are, or you guys know who I'm talking about.
You muted yourself again.
Damn,
there you go. You're good. You're back.
Well, I got all that ice in my glass, and it tinkles and shit when I'm trying to drink, and I don't want to be a
tinkles.
Dick, so tinkle, 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 tinkle.
Justin's got to go to the bathroom.
I'll bring it back.
Yeah. Oh God, I completely lost my train of thought. Thank you for telling me I was muted.
Oh, we're being PC and not calling out players.
It's all good. It's all good. There was a play, was it Rutgers? I think it was Rutgers, that either Carricker or somebody put out on Facebook, where both tackles got hit so hard by the defender that both of them were like windmilling their arms. They couldn't even get their arms out to punch them back. And I'm like, holy cow. Is the technique that bad? Or is the strength and conditioning absolute dog crap? Because for me, I think it's a mixture of both of them. I think Zach Duvall, hey, they're strong as hell from the waist down, but they can't freaking move, and they've got no strength on the waist up. And defensive line, when you're running through, when somebody like Garrett Nelson or Ty Robinson has got a dude and he's got him wrapped up, and the fucker runs out of the tackle. To me, that isn't technique. That's strength. There's something missing there that they're not able to hold on to the guy and get him to the ground. Aiden O'Connell, for God's sakes, the slowest bitch on the face of the planet, was able to juke Ty Robinson.
So are we just the all get off the bus team only? You know what I mean? Like we're just all looks.
Look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
They got big dudes. They got big dudes.
Yep.
Yeah, can't play.
We are big. I definitely think it's technique, to be honest with you. I mean, when you got, who was it? Farmer came out and said they haven't even been tackling for 4 years. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
How is the media never caught on to that? I never said anything. And you know what's another thing that pissed me off about the media is like Sipple the other day. He was like, well, when we were watching these guys in preseason, in training camp, I knew that offensive line looked terrible. It's like, well, why the fuck didn't you say anything then?
Oh, because he was pumping up Donovan Raiola, and he was pumping up that. Yeah, he was pumping up that offensive line that they're firing off the ball better. I mean, he was pushing that Scott Frost agenda on. He was also line stuff.
Still employed at the Journal-Star. They were getting hooked up with the Omaha World Herald. He was working a deal in the back door with On3 Sports and all that stuff at that time too. So he's kind of doing playing both sides of the fence and whatnot. He's not been anything but kind of straight down the middle now. And Sipple's one of my favorite dudes. I've been following Sipple since the mid 90s when he first showed up on the scene. So yeah, Nebraska media, in one case, and I know we're so completely off the rails of the topic of this show, which is fine, because that's what this is, a therapy session, gentlemen. We're here to make sure that all four of us, when we leave, are a little bit drunker and feel a little bit better about being Husker fans when we sign off, right? That's kind of the whole point of this deal, right?
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Yeah, well, we're going to damn sure be drunker. God knows I am. But where the hell was I? Sipple, right? Something like that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I love Sipple. I just wish he would have been the response. And, you know, as much as I detest the guys from the Omaha World Herald, because I think they picked really bad timing to give coaches shit in a press conference, you know, Dirk Chatelaine, those guys that would just, they couldn't freaking wait to piss Bo off, right? Back in the day, they couldn't wait.
Yep.
You know, and there's a line you have to walk as a journalist. You're not supposed to be about the why or the who did it or whatever. You're supposed to just give everybody the facts, the facts. If the offensive line looks like shit in spring camp, just say so. We saw it in the spring game. You know, oh, damn, this defensive line's going to be badass. Nope. Our offensive line's going to suck dick all year. That's exactly because go ahead.
And like to your point with the Omaha guys, like Sam and Dirk, no thanks. And Tom Chattel, like, I would love to listen to that guy if he didn't sound like he was going to have a fucking heart attack every other sentence. I mean, he's like that, like Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live, like fucking the Bears, you know?
Yeah, he's got a speech impediment, but yeah.
Poor bastard. I mean, somebody's got to pull him like Corso, you know? Like, it's time. Let's just pull him.
Yep. Yeah. So, Illinois. Now that we've completely gone where we shouldn't have gone.
Are we still talking about that?
You know what? We
were on to Minnesota.
We were on to that's the other home game that we might win. And my wife and I are going to Illinois. We were thinking about looking for tickets, but we made a donation to Team Jack during the Radiothon, and they gave us tickets as a result. So I'm like, yay.
Hey, Tyler will be there.
Shit, I think Chase Brown might be the next Melvin Gordon on Saturday, and I really don't want to be there to see it. But anyway, why don't we move on and take a look at some keys to victory?
Can we talk about the defense a little bit more? I got some things to talk about here. Like, they are very good at sacking the quarterback. They have 4 dudes with 3.5 or more sacks. They got 3 of them are defensive ends. Jerzon Newton, he leads the team in tackles, 37. He's got 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 8 quarterback hurries. Another defensive end, Keith Randolph, he's got 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hurries. Another defensive end, Gabe Jacobs, I guess that's how you said. He's got 4 sacks. And an outside linebacker, Seth Coleman. He's got 3.5 sacks, and he leads the team in quarterback hurries with 9. So these guys are just blowing offensive lines up. They're getting to the quarterback. They're effective. I think they rank 11th in sacks also. And Nebraska.
In the NCAA?
Yeah, 11th in the NCAA. And then Nebraska, we rank 106 in sacks allowed. That's not a good recipe and for trying to, protect your quarterback. And that scares me a lot. One other thing that another player to point out is Kendall Smith. He's the free safety. He has 4 interceptions. Illinois, they have 12 interceptions on the year. And they have 3 dudes with at least 2 interceptions on the year. I mean,
it's a lot.
Yeah,
it really is a lot because I'm gonna tell you they haven't played a lot of passing teams yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana's 44th, Wisconsin's 89th in passing yards. Virginia's 75th.
So, do you think Whipple can scheme some stuff up for these guys, or what do you think?
I mean, he's had 2 weeks to prepare, right? And so is he going to
So do they.
something?
Yeah, I was going to say
2 weeks to figure out how to bracket freaking Trey Palmer and take him away.
It's going to depend again on that offensive line. Can they look like they did in the second half of Purdue or the first half of Purdue? Unfortunately, on the second half of Purdue, you only had the ball for what, 5 minutes total?
Yeah, and scored 24 points.
So they looked good for 5 minutes, but can you do it for a whole half or a whole game? God forbid.
So Illinois' defense, they've allowed one rusher to go over 100 yards, and that was against Minnesota. Mo Abraham, he had 127 yards rushing. That sounds impressive, but overall in that entire game, Minnesota had just 180 yards total offense. And so,
right.
But again, I think they're 98 in passing offense. They're not a passing offense.
Yeah,
it didn't help that you knocked out
Tanner
Morgan. I mean,
I was gonna say, isn't he in his 6th year like Aiden O'Connell too? I mean, fucking nothing but Chris Wankies all over the place after.
I think they've both been playing since Bo Pelini was our coach.
I think he's got his doctorate. I think he's closer to his 14th.
That's like Patty Fisher. Jesus Christ! I was like, how many fucking years is he gonna play?
Yeah,
and then he didn't even get drafted.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that.
Crazy.
Go figure. Well, are we done? Are we done licking our wounds for the game that we haven't played yet?
Sure. Well, I do think if Whipple can plan some quick passes, try and keep Casey Thompson out of trouble, they can give up some yards on passing. I mean, Indiana did do it. That's the only game they've lost is Indiana. So if you can get the passing game into a rhythm, it's not like you can't win this game.
God, that game though. I mean, because I had bet Illinois in that game, and Illinois was the better team, and somehow they lost. I mean, it was.
Go figure.
It's like that one that you drop every year. You're not supposed to,
Yeah.
Oh,
every team's got them.
I'm kind of hoping that's what this game is for Illinois.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Another one.
That would be awesome. Oh,
doesn't seem like they're getting stronger and stronger as the year goes on, though.
Yeah.
Do you guys get that impression?
Yeah, a little bit. So it's like,
meanwhile, we're getting what?
Stagnant at best. What? Like, how do you give Casey 3 seconds to throw the ball? How do you
roll him out? That's all you can do. You got to roll.
Well, and I thought we were gonna roll out during Purdue, and we didn't.
Put him back there as a punt formation.
Yeah, but like that was one of my keys to the game in Purdue was rolling out, and we didn't really see it. Like the couple of times he has scrambled and committed to a scramble, we've gotten a first down. That's just not in him, or he's just I don't know. I don't know how you keep taking those shots that you keep taking to, one, stay in the game, and two, not look to scramble. Like the kid's just
I don't think
gamer.
I don't. When it comes to running, I don't think his decision making is always the best. Because there are times he's got open lanes and he could run.
Yeah,
I don't know. He wants to make a play with his arm.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be a running quarterback. He wants to make a play with his arm.
He wants to put game film out there for the NFL.
Do you think that's one NFL thing? Because guess what? NFL quarterbacks are expected to scramble for a first two. Or two, is it because his dad was a running quarterback and he's trying to be how you like
being everything his dad wasn't. Yeah.
Well, he's trying to make his own way, right? So like a lot of times you have those kids like that. They
don't get out of that shadow.
Yeah. Yep. So he wants to be the passing quarterback and not the running quarterback. So he's like, I don't dare run. I'll stay back here and get my ass kicked instead.
And he's got a good arm. He's got good accuracy. I mean,
at times,
not on the deep ball.
He's good on the deep ball. 15 yards and in.
It's too short. It's too short.
That was after he took like 16 shots too, though.
True. Yeah, his ribs are probably fucked. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But also a lot of times
I thought his deep balls looked pretty good earlier in the year.
They're just too short. Like he's not hitting anybody in stride. They have to come back for all of them. But you start to see that a lot more in the NFL also, because that's where you get your PI calls, getting into coming back to the ball, and then the corner's not looking and they're running right into you, So I kind of get that, but either way, hit him in stride a few times.
No doubt. Shall we move on to some keys to victory? If there's a way for Nebraska to win this game, Derrick, come up with 3 things Nebraska has to do.
3 things. All right. Well, one's going to sound really stupid here, but it's going to be get off the field on third down. Like, Nebraska doesn't have a terrible time holding teams to third down. It's getting off the field on third down.
Yeah.
And you got to start holding to third and longs instead of these third and shorts. Because if we're on third and short every time, Chase Brown's just going to get a first down every single time. I mean, it's just so you're going to have to keep them to some third and longs and get off the field on third downs. Establish a pass. And I normally I wouldn't be that way. I'd say establish a run. I think in this situation, their run defense is just too good, and you're going to have to establish some kind of offense. And unfortunately, you may have to run some screens to counteract some of the run. Number 3, don't turn the ball over, because you got to keep their offense off the field as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. All right, Andrew, you've got 3.
I do.
Right.
So my 3 are going to be give Casey 3 seconds. It's a magic number that they got to obtain is 3 seconds. I mean, hell, even 2.5 would be a luxury at this point, but 3 is the magic number they got to give him. Time of possession. I'll say this week in and week out on my podcast every week. We have to find a way to hit the 31-minute mark. Every time we hit 31 minutes, we win the game. So that will always and forever be an emphasis, which is going to be excruciatingly painfully hard with all the teams we have upcoming. And then also just tackling. You got to tackle. We cannot do arm tackling. We have to wrap up and fucking get them with the first guy. Way too many times we could get a tackle for loss. He misses. Not to mention the second and third guy missing and then the fourth guy finally coming in. But we have to – I don't care if it's behind the line of scrimmage, if it's at the line of scrimmage, if it's 2 yards down the field. We have to get that tackle with the very first guy that touches it.
Or at least maintain your position and allow a little bit of time for somebody to help you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Because that is one thing that has been fair. I think we have been swarming the ball more. But to your point, Derrick, if that first guy can't maintain the position – then they're still picking up more yards after that. So
you don't have a spot to rally to. I mean, if you can maintain your position and keep them there, you have a spot to rally to. Otherwise, you're just rallying to that side of the field.
Yep.
Exactly. Justin, do you have 3?
I have 3, and they're not too far different from what Andrew and Derrick have said. But all 3 of these are very important. My first one is protect the quarterback. I talked about the sacks that Illinois has generated, their quarterback hurries, and our poor offensive line play. That needs to get better in this game. You got to protect Casey Thompson because our offense, whether you like it or not, is him throwing the ball. The number 2 thing is we better be able to run the ball in this game. Andrew, you talked about the time of possession. Illinois, they rank 3rd in the nation in time of possession at 34 minutes and 57 seconds. Nebraska ranks 110th at 27 minutes and 50 seconds. What did we hear last week? We had like 17 minutes of total possession last week. Yes. We were in the game, but that defense, they cannot continue taking 100 plays. Yeah, that can't happen. And Illinois, they're going to hold the ball long because they do have a great running attack. We need to be able to run the ball to shorten this game up as much because they're going to run too. And sticking with the run for my 3rd key point is stopping the run. I talked about earlier, and my point here is that we haven't faced a really good rushing attack except Oklahoma. Illinois is 26th. We haven't faced a top 50 rushing attack yet this year other than Oklahoma. And it's going to get worse and worse. And the guys that we've played so far, they're having success running the ball against us. And so it takes 2 weeks. We could only practice 2 days last week. So hopefully they did 2 things. Work on tackling and got their bodies right because we're going to get beat up in this game. I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, to your point there, like it's amazing what 3 or 4 minutes of time of possession will do for a game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you could like I was talking to people last week during the game, and it's like I was like, our offense is killing our defense this game. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Our offense is putting up enough points and everything. I'm like, it's nothing but big play after big play. Like eventually you got to sustain a 10, 12 play drive and help them out a little bit. Like, yeah, I understand it's on them to get off the field, but at the same time, give the fuckers a little bit of a breather.
Do you guys think that Whipple knows that with the offensive line being as shitty as they are, that the only way that we're going to have success is just chunk it deep and just go,
hope that Trey Palmer goes and gets it. Yeah.
I mean, he's seen a lot of offenses in his life. He knows what he's doing. And for him to continually run these plays and not even try, I think he just knows it's not worth trying. I mean,
that's a really fair point that I never thought of.
But if you're going to go 3 and out anyway, I mean, you're not helping your team. Go get the points. I mean,
yeah, no, that's a really fair one I've never thought of, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope that maybe that Purdue game was just an anomaly, I guess, and maybe we will commit more to the run. But I mean, Anthony Grant, there's nowhere to go for him. I mean, he looked great in the beginning of the year when we played shit defenses or worse defenses, right? Now the defenses are picking up.
And when Scott Frost was calling the running plays, made a difference too. Because he does know how to scheme that.
I mean, what were the 3 teams? Okay, so Northwestern, Georgia Southern, North Dakota. I don't know what they rank in total defense, but I can't imagine it's that good. So
no, but it's the misdirections I think that help, and there's none of that with this offense now.
Straightforward, inside zone,
and I do think that scheme helps.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed. I wouldn't be opposed to throwing Logan Smothers in for a series or two and let him run a little bit.
Yep.
So over at our podcast, we are huge Smothers homers. So every time Purdy comes in over Smothers, I about lose my right nut every time. But I think too, to your guys' point, yes, the play calling's changed for run specifically, but then also you don't have AJ Allen coming in taking a breather. We still haven't had Gabe Ervin coming in for the last couple of games. Yeah. I think getting Ervin back helps a little bit, but it's all on this offensive line, guys. I mean, I don't give a shit what runs they're calling. You still got to. That's offensive line still got to give them better holes.
So what about Ramir Johnson? Where has he been?
Ramir, we finally got to see him, and look what he did, busted out. Like,
he was on a milk carton for 6 games. He comes out in the 7th game, 17 yards, and goes right back on the milk carton.
Yeah,
what the hell?
So we know who our number 1 running back is, right? It's Anthony Grant. Now AJ Allen is out. He was the clear number 2. Who's our number 2 running back right now? Because we're seeing guys shuffle in and out.
I think it's Ervin.
You think it's Ervin?
I think it's Ervin. Yeah, I mean, I think from the limited time that we got to see him play, I think he's shown that he was the clear 3. But to be fair, and to Derrick's point, we haven't seen Ramir that much. No. And yes, there's probably a reason why Gabe Ervin won the job out last year to start the season, was the only true freshman in however many freaking years to start for Nebraska at running back.
First one ever.
Was it the first one ever? Okay. Yep. So there was probably something they seen there, but also to Derrick's point is they're out. Let's see Ramir. And the few times you get to see him, he stepped up. Last year when Gabe Ervin got hurt, he stepped up. He knows this offensive line. He knows what works like for running plays for this offensive line. Let him put a bug in Mickey and Whipple's ear and be like, hey, guys, if you just run these plays, I could make them work. Let's get
couple of wheel routes wouldn't hurt.
Yep.
So my keys to victory are kind of a lot like you guys. For me, it's all about stopping Chase Brown. Number 1, hold him to under 150 yards. I think we got a pretty good shot.
Not even 100, 150.
He's not 100. God knows we're not going to do that. But if we can hold him to 40 yards less than what we give up per game, I feel pretty good. and he averages 5.5 yards a carry, and we average giving up 4.9. So if we can meet in the middle somewhere there, I'd be pretty happy. And he averages 27.4 attempts per game for 151.3 yards per game. If we can hold him below that, I like our chances. And I think we need to be +2 in the turnover margin. Nebraska is 93rd in the country at -0.43 turnover margin per game. So if we can go +2, I like our chances. And then Trey Palmer needs to have at least 120 plus yards receiving and score at least 2 or more TDs. Because other than that, I don't see where we score enough points to win. So
well, to be fair, to add on to what you're saying, I mean, it is stopping Chase Brown. Don't be fooled. Like, it's not about stop and run. It's about stopping Chase Brown. Yep. Behind him, they don't have a lot. The guy behind him has 150 yards on the year.
Did you say Brown is like Rashard Mendenhall 2.0 or better?
Well, he might be better, honestly.
Yeah. But I think that's a very good point, though, Derek, is, you do cut him out. They don't have the depth. I don't think they have depth like we do at running back, So, I mean, are we saying don't take him out of the game? Or what are we talking about?
I mean,
just like, tear his hammy, only take him out for one game, or
Hey, well, can I ask you guys a couple of over-unders here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start with sacks. How many sacks will Illinois get on Nebraska? I'm going to set that over-under at 3.5. Ken?
Well, I'm going to go over.
Over.
I don't trust this offensive line at all.
I think you have to go over.
What do they average a game?
3.29 a game.
And we probably give up at least 3 a game.
I don't have that, but we're 106th in the nation.
Well, last week we gave up 4 in the first half, and then we didn't give up any in the second half. So I don't know what that means, but
we give up 2.79 sacks a game.
All right, I'm going to be optimistic coming off a bye. I'm going to go under, say we only give up 3. Okay. Because Casey might learn to scramble.
This is a different defense, though.
The reason I have to go over is we're probably the most passing team they've seen all year, and our offensive line is just bad. They're already getting sacks, so I just don't see how we hold them to under 3.5.
Okay.
Yep. So sticking with sacks, how many sacks does Nebraska get? Over under 1.5, Ken?
Under.
Derek?
Under, because I don't think they're going to throw the ball much.
Andrew?
Sorry, what was it again? My bad.
Sacks. How many sacks will Nebraska get?
Yeah. Under. Well, I don't even know what the number is, but it's
1.5.
It's 1.5.
It could have been 0, and I would have said under.
So the final over-unders talk about time of possession. Will Nebraska hold the ball for at least 20 minutes? Over or under 20 minutes in this game, Ken?
Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe Whipple learned his lesson from Purdue. Maybe he didn't. I'm going to go under, though. 19.3. Something like that.
Derek?
Yeah.
I'm going to go over. Nebraska's averaging holding the ball 27, almost 28 minutes a game. I think the Purdue game was a bit of an anomaly. I don't think we're going to have it for 17 minutes like we did there. It'll be probably around 25, 26 minutes to me.
Think so? Okay. Andrew?
I'm going to go over as well. I think to your point, we got down big and bad, right? But after that Oklahoma game, Mickey came right out and said, hey, we know we need to slow the clock down for ourselves. And he did that for 2 games up until we had Purdue. So I think he's, going to go right back to that. He sees what happened in that game. I think we easily get to that 25 mark because it'll be a point of emphasis.
Okay.
I think so. He knows he's got to win that to win the game. He knows that.
Yeah. That's be a tall order. All right, Ken, you can have your show back.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's not my show. It's our show. I share with everybody.
Yeah.
So why don't we just move on to the fun part, which is score predictions. I'll start with you, Justin. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
This is something I want to bring up earlier. Is I love lines. I love gambling. But the line opened up at 5, and that line has been moving in Illinois' favor all day long. It's now they're now 7-point favorites in this game. The over-under is at 51.5. Wow. As I look at this game, I'm just trying to think of the key areas where we match up well against them. I'm just not really seeing it. I mean, it's like I think this is going to be one of those things where we're just going to have to toss it up for a hope and prayer and hope Trey Palmer catches it and runs to the end zone. But I just think with this defense, as good as this defense as they are, they're just going to have an answer to it. I don't know if we can battle them enough. I'm going to say something along the lines of Illinois wins 31-13.
Ooh. Okay. I can see that. I can definitely see that. How about you, Derek?
I don't think it's that big of a loss. I don't know that we have a big chance to win this game. I think Trey Palmer is going to be a nightmare for their defensive backs. He is fast enough to get loose, and Casey Thompson will get him the ball. I do think Nebraska will score. I'll lean towards Illinois 31-28.
That close. Nice.
Okay. That'll work. How about you, Andrew?
I'm going 31-20 Illinois. I think to Derek's point, we'll get some points, but with that defense, they're going to stop us and in the red zone because we're going to rely on that big play way too much. And then also when it comes to Illinois and stopping them with our whole bend don't break, we're gonna bend the whole way down to that red zone, and then once they get in the red zone, then they're gonna rely on throwing the ball or that quarterback running it in, and so that Brown may not necessarily get the touchdowns, but Illinois will in the end.
Hey, come on, Andrew. Shenando's not here anymore.
It's still doing it. They're still doing it when you're lining up, 8-9 yards off of the receivers. Like, quit. Get up there and press them.
To be fair, Illinois is 96 in the country in red zone offense.
Are they?
That is
so
true.
A lot of field goals.
Could be. Could end up being
so maybe we hammer the unders in this one, boys.
I think you hammered the under.
Yeah.
For me, I've got the under. I've got it 28-17 Illinois. I kind of have a bad feeling. I think Chase Brown has the capability of being Melvin Gordon Part 2 on our own field, but he doesn't. But I do think he's going to go for over 150. And the number one team in total defense in the Big Ten will push our offensive line all over the place and shut down most of what we want to do, except for maybe a few big plays by Trey Palmer. And they're going to build a 21-point lead going into the fourth quarter. But Casey Thompson gets hurt late, and Nebraska turns to Chubba Purdy, who will fight back valiantly in the end, but it ends up 28-17 Illinois. And I'm going to be there to watch every damn snap, and I'm hoping it's not going to be as bad as Justin does.
So every time we're behind, I can be like, yell louder, Ken.
No, I have no voice left, dude. I just can't do it. I've got this podcast to do. The next day, if I'm sitting here sounding like Froggy from freaking Little Rascals, it's just no fun.
So just a quick question for you guys. Since nobody's very high on this game and nobody really thinks we have a great shot to win, let's play the what-if game. What if Nebraska does pull this out? What does that do for Mickey Joseph?
Sign him up right now.
No,
take the interim label off.
Can't do that.
How long has it been since we won?
Illinois is not the game that you sign him up for. Now, if he goes down to Michigan, plays them within 3 points like we did last year, then I'd say sign him up. Or we come back home after a close loss to Michigan and we actually beat Whiskey, sign him up. But I don't think that's going to happen until the end of the year. But I think it changes the conversation a little bit, though. If we're 4-4 going into next week, it changes the conversation for sure.
Would be tied for the first or take over the first?
We'd be tied with Purdue.
Because Purdue would have the tiebreaker. We'd be second still, right?
Yep.
So we're third right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, the whole Mickey thing. Until you're winning the West, I don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, he's got to at least put himself in the conversation, though, right? Like
he's in the conversation. He's already been enough in the conversation.
He's in the conversation.
He's guaranteed coming back.
He's in the conversation because of his name, though. Like he's the former Husker, so people want to see him succeed.
I don't think that's it. You know why he's in the conversation?
He's a great recruiter.
That's why he's in the conversation.
I get it. And that's definitely got him in the conversation. But again, do you want to give the whole guy your whole team for recruiting, or do you want to keep him on?
He's 2-2 in his first 4 games as a head coach at Nebraska without the benefit of a spring practice and a fall practice as head coach. Scott Frost in his first 4 games, 0-4. Mickey's already ahead of him.
0-6.
Mickey's already ahead of him. That speaks a little bit to me.
But again, are we trying to get?
He can do?
Are we trying to get better than Scott Frost, or are we trying to get back to being relevant?
Back to being relevant means being better than Scott Frost at this point.
To start,
I mean, it's a baby step, sure, but it's not back to being relevant.
No, I agree. And let's be honest, Mickey does not meet Trev Albert's first metric, which is a head coach with Power 5 experience.
So let's continue this, Derek. If Mickey Joseph goes out with this team that he took over from Scott Frost, pretty bad team, and he beats a ranked team in Illinois, don't you think that Mickey Joseph is going to get some head coaching? Won't that seal the deal that he's going to get some head coaching offers out there?
Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. I can see him get maybe a group of 5 job. I don't think he's getting a Power 5 job.
Okay. I mean, but you're talking.
Colorado begs to differ. If Mickey Joseph takes us to a bowl game, I guarantee Colorado's already
they're on the phone.
You know who Colorado thinks they're going to get?
If he takes us to a bowl game, I think it's unquestionable you have to keep him.
But you know who Colorado thinks they're going to get? Either Walters from Illinois or Bielema. Or not Bieniemy. And it's they're not going to get neither one, first of all. But they're going to fucking call Mickey. Why wouldn't they?
Sure.
Everybody should be calling me. Like Colorado, Arizona State, Charlotte. They should all be calling his agent, gauging his interest.
Hell, we called Mickey back in 2020, and he said no.
If Nebraska isn't going to offer you a head coaching job, do you want one somewhere? Do you want one here? Like the conversation's being had. It's got to be had.
Yeah, because
everyone would hire him just for the recruiting.
He goes.
Yeah, like that. Like that's the other thing. So it's like, okay, so we know he's going to stay, right? But at minimum, he's got to stay as an associate head coach in order to pay him enough to stay, right? That was the whole point of getting him here was, okay, you're going to be wide receivers coach, but you're also going to be the associate head coach because we're probably going to fire Scott and we're going to have you be the interim to give you a run. And 2, so we can pay you enough by having the associate title with you, right? So that's going to stay.
He has so many goddamn job titles. His business card has a front and back to it. I mean, it's crazy.
It's about this big.
No, they just start putting initials on there. They don't spell them out anymore. It's like, it's like doctors, they just got little letters.
Yeah. MD, DDS.
Yeah.
That's fair. I just don't think beating Indiana and Rutgers gets you on the level where everybody's calling you up going, hey, we really want you for head.
No,
it doesn't, but Illinois changes everything.
They're 6-3. You beat Illinois. It's a different conversation going forward.
I think the thing, Derek, to your point about beating Illinois and Rutgers is, yes, on paper that sucks, but look at what that's done for, look at how those guys responded to those wins for him. You know what I mean? It's like they're playing for him way more than they were for Scott. And then also, too, with Mickey, the whole thing with him being a head coach is you're just asking him to be the CEO. You just want him to go hire great assistants. You're not asking him to be running an offense for the first time. You're not asking him to be an offensive coordinator. You're just asking him to be the CEO and make sure his coordinators are doing the right thing, right? Which is what Saban does. That's what Dabo does. That's what, any good coach worth their weight does. They're just CEOs.
That's fair. I just again,
that's why I think he'd be a good head coach.
If he beats Illinois and loses out the rest of the season, I still don't think that does enough for him.
No, but it certainly changes the if you beat Illinois this week, it certainly changes the conversation for a week. Then we see what we do against Minnesota. If he figures it out against them, which they haven't exactly been crazy this year, good, then you're going into Michigan going, holy crap, we've got one more win. We're in a bowl game, right? So the conversation definitely changes, but
and
I agree with you. I agree with you. Number one, he doesn't meet the metric.
You automatically have to hire Mickey Joseph.
What's your cutoff day for when we have to have a coach hired? Is it after Iowa? Is it pre-Iowa? I mean,
I think the transfer days after Iowa. If it's Mickey, it gets announced before. That's my opinion. If it's Mickey,
days,
he will do enough to be announced before Iowa. But if it's not, it's going to be announced right after. That's my read on it.
I think the transfer day is December 6th, I think, right? So, I mean, you have until right after
you have to have somebody in place for recruiting, period.
You got to know who it is.
Deadline. Yep.
And if it's somebody on a contending team, how do you get them in early enough for recruiting? They just bail on that team to end the season?
Well, you're in that boat no matter what, though, aren't you?
Pretty much,
yeah.
I mean, unless Mickey's the guy, you're in that boat no matter what. So,
which is interesting because you got Mickey going and re-recruiting guys specifically in Arizona that were quote unquote lost and still are a loss for us because he's committed somewhere else. But we all heard the rumor around that one, right? With Raiola. Yep. So it's like, okay, how do you go back?
Is he going to want to come here after they shit can his uncle?
But how do you go in there and even have a conversation to re-recruit him though, without like a top number one recruit like that? You can't even go talk to him without knowing who the coach is going to be, right? So you got to know if you're Trev, you got to know who the fucking next coach is, with a plan in place that Mickey's staying, and Mickey can go around to like Coleman and all these other kids and be like, here's the deal. This is who we got.
But again, to your point, we don't know that Mickey's coming back, because unless he's the head coach and he's getting head coaching offers, why is he going to come here to be a wide receivers coach?
That's what I'm saying. Does he have that big of a hard on for Nebraska no matter what? We're ride or die. I mean, like, I know we all would be, but fuck, we don't have offers coming out of our ass like he would.
We'll see. I mean, we don't know he's going to have those offers coming out of his ass. We just don't know. A lot of other teams are watching how he performs too. And if you look like crap against Illinois, you look like crap the next week against Minnesota, there's only so much sentiment and happiness and stuff at beating Indiana and Rutgers are going to get you.
I think a desperate team like Colorado, though, takes them just for recruiting.
And I think that's exactly why a team like Colorado it shouldn't have a Mickey Joseph, because they shouldn't deserve that kind of recruiting.
God, it'd make it interesting when we play him next, though, if he was the coach. That'd be a weird feeling.
Oh, he'd beat us. He'd fucking beat us just because of the storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not if we have Urban Meyer as head coach, right?
Oh, absolutely. God, don't. I about popped my table up here.
Oh, come on. He instantly changes the program. Instantly.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. No, I meant like from a hard on, not from anger.
You'd be surprised at how many people argue with me that they don't want him here.
So this will I'll have.
I'm not going to argue, but I don't want him here.
No, I'll have this conversation with you guys off air about T.O. not being a saint or whatever. But that's a conversation we have.
We know that, dude.
Yeah,
we know that. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for doing this tonight on kind of short notice. Derrick, Justin, jumping in as quickly as you did, and Andrew, what we planned to do today didn't come through, but damn, you came through and you hung out with me tonight, and quite frankly, made it a whole lot easier on me, and I really appreciate that, guys. Brought a lot of good info to the table, Andrew, where can folks find Big Red and More on social media?
So I got mine right down here. It's Big Red and More 1. You can find my co-host Jaden at Big Red and More 2. And then also we got our third co-host Sean. It's S Kenny, Kenny. So yeah, check us out. And then the and more part of it is we also do NFL specials too. So I don't know how much guys are big on NFL, but we bring on my old roommate Aaron. He does an absolutely phenomenal job. He's great. So yeah, if you guys like NFL too, check out our NFL draft specials and preseason specials and stuff like that. So,
all right, how about you boys on the Cuzcast?
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Husker Cuzcast. And if you care to follow me personally, I'm at Cuzcast Justin. Derek is at Cuzcast Derek, and Tyler, who isn't here right now, but he's at Shafe Mania.
Sweet. Well, you can find Scott and I, hope he's feeling better, at genredpod.com. That's where all of our social media info is at the top of the page. Click the links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And then you can also find our audio show wherever you get your podcast by looking for Generation Red. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you rate and review the show. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like this video. And don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell. That way you can watch all of our old content and be notified when new live streams or video content is put out there. Hey, guys, this has been a hell of a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. And you know what? Scott's not here, but on his behalf, I'm Ken. We're both Generation Red. And thanks to the Cuzcast guys, Justin and Derek, as well as Andrew from Big Red and More. And no matter what anybody tries to tell you, I'm going to fill in for Scott and say this: fuck Iowa. And there's no place like Nebraska.
Speaking of which, we have fuck Iowa shirts if anybody wants to buy any. Hit me up.
Oh, dude, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. All right, boys.
All right.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.